We cannot talk about website designing without talking about domain name and web hosting. So, what is a domain name? A domain name is a unique address used to identify a website on the internet. I assume I want to visit a Facebook website. So I'll open my browser and I will type here facebook.com. So when I type facebook.com, I'll have access to Facebook website. If I want to visit YouTube website, I will type youtube.com in my browser, and then I'll be redirected to YouTube website. And if I also want to visit WhatsApp website, why not? I can also type whatsapp.com and I'll also be redirected to WhatsApp website. So when I wanted to visit WhatsApp website, I entered whatsapp.com. When I wanted to visit YouTube website, I entered youtube.com. So youtube.com and whatsapp.com are here a different domain name of YouTube and WhatsApp. Now let's look at the key components of a domain name. There are three components of a domain name. The first component is the top level domain, and the second level domain, and the third one is the subdomain. So let's look at the top level domain. What is a top level domain? The top level domain is the segment of the domain name following the final dot. Okay, so let's go back to WhatsApp website. So the last segment following the domain name, the .com here, is what we call the top level domain, and it can be .com or .net or .education edu or .org, okay, or also a country specific like .uk, .canada or .ghana. The second key component of a domain name is the second level domain. And the second level domain is the part of the domain name that directly comes before your .com or your .org or your .net. So it's a part of the domain name that precedes, that directly precedes your top level domain name. So here, let's look at this, whatsapp.com. What comes before the .com here is WhatsApp. So WhatsApp in this case is our second level domain. Let's look at YouTube too. What comes before the .com here is YouTube. So YouTube is our second level domain. And lastly, with the domain name, what we'll look at is the last key component is the subdomain. And the subdomain here is the prefix added to the main domain. What will come before the domain here is what we call your subdomain. For instance, I assume here that my domain name is example.com. But before the example.com, I added blog. So we have here blog.example.com, meaning in this case, blog.example.com is not the domain name, but rather a subdomain. Let's look at WhatsApp website. Okay, we refresh the page. Very good. I will try to navigate through this menu that you have here, and we will see, some example of subdomain. So let me click on the help center. What do we see here? After clicking on the help center, I see here that we have fac.whatsapp.com. So the whatsapp.com here is the domain name, but before that domain name, there is a prefix, FAQ, FAQ. So this FAQ represents what we call, okay, the subdomain. Let's go back again. Let's try with the blog. The same thing. So before the blog, okay, before the domain whatsapp.com, we have our blog. Okay, so the blog comes before the domain, meaning the blog here is a subdomain of the domain name whatsapp.com. So these are the three components, okay, of a domain name. Now, what is the purpose of a domain name? The first purpose of a domain name is identification. So a domain name provides a human readable address for a website, making it easier to remember and access than a numerical IP address. But that's the first aspect, identification. Okay, we human being will be able to identify, okay, an address for a website. That's why we have domain name. And the second purpose is the branding. A unique and memorable domain name helps in building and promoting a brand identity online. When I wanted to visit WhatsApp website, what did I type? I typed in or I inputted whatsapp.com. Okay, whatsapp.com. And when we hear WhatsApp, we know that we are talking about the brand WhatsApp. So WhatsApp has built his brand like that. So how do we obtain a domain name? To obtain a domain name, you have to choose a domain register, search for the availability of your domain, register the domain, and then configure the DNS settings.